from Governor Andrew M. Cuomo. During coronavirus briefing, Governor Cuomo remarks on social impact, which means absolutely nothing. And this is from March 19th, 2020. So only a couple days before the world learned the name George Floyd, he's going to spew something about social impact, whatever that's supposed to mean. And I don't think we've reached peak madness just yet, but I'm sure we will. And again, there are so many of these videos. I wish I could watch every single one, but there's just too many. For 3 years, he was doing multiple a day and posting them all on his social media, or on his YouTube channel, I should say, and absolutely loving the attention.
We talk about this as a government response. The federal government's doing this, state government is doing this, government.
No, you did that. You guys made yourself the center of attention. Nobody cared. We wouldn't have known. Okay, the government and the media, of course, but you turned yourself into the object of attention. You didn't need to do any of that. And this is part of the reason, a small, tiny part of the reason why you were forced to step down, is because, oh, government. No, we don't need you. We didn't need you. You didn't have to force people to wear masks and say it was all about respect. You didn't have to force pharmaceuticals on people. You didn't have to kick people out of Applebee's for failure to show paperwork. But you are pretending that it was all about government when clearly it wasn't. Well, I take that back. It was all about government and not about Rona at all. But they were trying to, it was just a complete mess. And like I've said before, it's absolutely wild to watch this as it was taking place in the very beginning of something that basically tore apart the country, ruined the world, all to get Orange Man was just a tiny bit of it. I now realize that, of course, it was a much larger worldwide takeover, but this is it happening in real time. And of course, the comments are turned off.
This manifests on a number of levels, and the government response is obviously very important. But the impact, I think, is greater and probably greatest as a social phenomenon, and on people and on families. This is tremendously disruptive on all sorts of levels.
Yeah, that you guys did. You guys brought us all of this.
It came out of the blue. For me, in New York, it reminds me of 9/11, where one moment, which was inconceivable.
Yeah, and of course, look, there's no way to prove this, but if Orange Man weren't running for president in 2020, we wouldn't have seen this, right? And there's a number of other things. If Orange Man weren't running for president in 2024, they wouldn't be lobbying. Do you think they would just lob a handful of criminal investigations or indictments his way? No, this is the same thing. The BLM protest, the Rona pandemic, the lawfare, it's all about Orange Man. Well, mostly about Orange Man, but the other countries have their a similar faction of people trying to take over, and one could make the argument that there is a globalist puppeteer controlling all of it.
Just changed everything, changed your perspective on the world, changed your perspective on safety.
No, you were trying to do that. You and Whitmer and Newsom and all of these weirdos were trying to do that. And you successfully did, unfortunately. But now we can all see through it. And they want to talk about all social distancing. When I was looking through the videos on his channel, he talks about social distance. I guess this one's about social impact, but there's another one where he talks about social distancing, which it was all a complete farce and a hoax. But we now know concretely that nobody seems to know where the social distancing came from. That was totally arbitrary. What? No, somebody came up with that and foisted it on the American population, or the population of the entire world, really. There were stickers on the supermarket. There were stickers on the floor at the subway. There were lines outside the supermarket because it was safer to stand outside in the cold than it was to go inside, because you could pass Rona to somebody while passing them in an aisle at Trader Joe's, but you also had to have a junior college kid stick a Q-tip all the way up your nose until it touches your brain to figure out if you even had it.
Children who were young at that time but of school age watched on TV They didn't know if their parents were coming home. I think it changed their whole outlook on life after 9/11. This is a situation like that. It's obvious.
I mean, he is right about that. Okay? Because 9/11 changed the world just like Rona did approximately 20 years later.
It's a totally different magnitude, but it's like that. It's a moment that just changes your whole.
Yep. A power grab. You know, same, but different, right? So they changed everything and told you, oh, you know, you're going to take off your shoes at the airport for the next 6 months to a year. 22 years later, you're still doing that. And 4 years after Rona, there's still some people out on the street in fresh air on a nice 75-degree day wearing a mask because they've been completely brainwashed and beaten to submission by people like Andy Cuomo.
Whole life. Yesterday you were going to work and you were going to go to the office party. Today you're at home and the kids are at home and you're worried about health and you're worried about your job and you're worried about
all the things we told you to be worried about, because I can pretty much guarantee, and there's no way to prove this, that nobody would have been like, oh, my word, what is happening? People around me are dropping like flies. It's just that you and the media were bombarding people with it. You couldn't walk one city block in New York City without seeing a little piece of propaganda about the frontline workers or the stay safe or wear a mask. It was absolutely everywhere. The subways especially. All of the ads, which I assume were paid for by companies at one point in time, were replaced with orange or yellow NPC propaganda about how you shouldn't even talk to anybody on the train. Just keep your eyes in your book, keep your headphones in, because otherwise you might die. And of course, that only works if you convince that very same population that a man can magically become a woman.
About economics, and you're dealing with personal issues, and you're dealing with family issues, and it's all happening at once. And then you turn on the TV and there's all this different information and nobody can tell you if this is going to be 30 days or 60 days.
Yeah, and eventually we're going to eliminate a lot of the information that doesn't really agree with what we're pushing.
Or 4 months or 5 months or 9 months. The stress, the emotion is just incredible. And rightfully so. It is a situation that is one of the most disruptive that I have seen, and it will change almost everything going forward.
If we have our way.
Will. That is a fact. It's not your perception. It's not just you. It's all of us. And it's true. And it's real. Nobody can tell you when this is going to end. Nobody can tell you. I talked to all the experts. Nobody can say,
oh, I talked to the experts. The same experts that said you should stand 6 feet apart. Those ones?
2 months, 4 months, 9 months. Nobody.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be indefinite, and we were supposed to make it so we could have control for as long as humanly possible. It was all fake from the start.
Hard living your life with that big a question mark out there. Nobody can tell you when you go back to work. People can tell you that it's not just you economically, it's everyone. Take comfort in that. Federal government is actually acting on an economic package. But it's true. Having your family all together is a beautiful thing. It's also different for a lot of people. Especially for a prolonged period of time. So these are major shifts in life and in the most emotional, stressful conditions that you can imagine. And I think my own personal advice is understand it for what it is. And that it's not
false, absolutely false, because it was a hoax, it was a scam. It was fake. So don't understand it for that. Just understand it for what I'm telling you right now.
Not just you. It has changed everything.
Yeah, it's not just you. We foisted this on everybody to get our way and maintain power, or regain power, I should say.
And it will for the foreseeable future. and think through how you're going to deal with it and what it means. And even try to find a positive in it, right? It's a very negative circumstance, but you're going to have time on your hands. You're going to have time with your family. You're going to have time at home. In this busy, hurry-up world, all of a sudden somebody said, okay, you have a couple of months where you're going to be home with the family, no work, you work from home, but it's a totally different situation. How do you use that? How do you adjust? It's not going to be done overnight, but it is something that...
This is crazy to watch. I'm sorry, but I mean, the manipulation here is just wild, right? So basically what he said is, yeah, we destroyed everything and it all sucks, right? I mean, he's telling you exactly what they're doing and then, you know, sort of bookending that by saying, you feel that way, right? We destroyed everything, but, you know, it's for your safety and you're going to be with your family. And I mean, it's absolutely wild to watch now because for better or for worse, people were actually taking this serious at the time. So this guy can go up there multiple times a day and tell you how bad everything is and then confirm that, yes, in fact, this is happening and you should take our word for it. Absolutely insane. But there's plenty more of these videos where this one came from.